Going back to the drawing board isn't always a bad thing. Publishers and developers have figured out a little secret. Improving your mid-game so people want to play it is a good financial decision. Hi folks, it's Falcon. Join the 1% Club. Get the truly unhinged stuff every weekend. Today on Game Ranks, we're talking about the 10 most improved games from 2026 that play different. Starting off at number 10, it's Crimson Desert, because developers have worked overtime with post-launch support on this game. They've worked to improve what is a very flawed game. So these fixes should have been in the game from the start. The fact this game launched without an inventory stash is insane. And I'm gonna say there's just no way to fix the story, so who even cares about that? Looking on the bright side, the developers have taken player feedback and made significant changes to the game, which is always a good thing, especially for the people that do like the game. We're at patch 1.09 now, and aside from the aforementioned storage container, there's more treasure chests that have been added to the fairly empty world map in terms of treasure chests. They've made a million tiny little changes that make playing the game a lot smoother than it was. Later updates added useful features like the ability to re-summon bosses or bandit camps so you're not running out of bad guys to fight, which was a real major problem with the game at launch. One of the most important updates is the addition of a fast forward button in the dialogue scene so you can skip, or kind of skip rather, the nonsensical cutscenes and get back to the game, which is, arguably still baffling. I don't understand why you can't just skip the cutscenes, but being able to fast forward is better than nothing. But even some of the earliest stuff has been improved. The game has more tutorials, puzzles have been completely revamped to make some degree of logical sense. There's more music for exploring. There's more loading screens, and I don't mean like, there's more loading screens. I mean like the screens are more varied. There's more art, more difficulty options, more quick slot items, and a collectibles chest where you can actually store key items and stop weighing down your inventory. Some of these changes are game-changing, and they fix major problems with this game. I wish they could pare this thing back so it's not trying to be everything and just focus on a few things and do those few things really well. I've said the phrase ocean wide, inch deep 100 times in reference to this game at this point, but you can't look a gift horse in the mouth when developers are doing what developers should be doing, and that is listening to the people who are paying their paychecks. And I don't mean the CEOs, I mean where the money's coming from, the consumer. It's really hard to complain. In fact, I laud it despite the fact I am not interested in playing this game. I feel like the people who do like this game supported these guys, and they deserve all of the fixes, all of the improvements. Just, it's awesome what this developer is doing with this game, even if it's not one that I like personally. What I do personally like is when people are willing to go ahead and enable notifications, because it's actually really difficult to navigate YouTube nowadays. My Falcon account, I miss our videos on. I have to go to the Game Ranks channel to ensure that I will see them, which yes, I do watch our videos. I almost never edit the actual video end of things, and I always like seeing what the guys did, but I have to manually go to our channel for it. So enabling notifications is a way that helps. At least you know exactly when we've uploaded a new video. It's doing us a big solid, so thanks a lot for enabling notifications. Let's get back to the video. At number 9 is Star Wars Outlaws, easily one of the most improved recent games. Star Wars Outlaws launched in a playable but pretty damn flawed state, but has only improved since. Honestly, this is one game that really does play different thanks to totally fresh mechanics like enemy weak points, new animations in the combat, new weapon slots, and completely overhauled stealth mechanics that just make this game so much more fun to play.
All right, Nix, go get him. Nix, go. Get him, Nix. Okay, Nix, let's try to stay.
I I didn't hate this one as much as other people hated it, but I didn't like it. Part of that was just how bad the stealth was when it launched. Outlaws genuinely had some of the worst stealth in video games, and there was this terrible early mission that forced you to stay hidden or you failed instantly if you got caught. This was one of the things the developers at Massive changed. Like, they've gone on to change a whole lot more as well. Mandatory stealth sections are completely gone from the game. That's big plus number one. But stealth is also much easier to understand thanks to new icons and indicators, more lenient detection time, and generally more options for dealing with enemies when you're caught.
Seems clear.
Just leaving.
And Mayor, eh?
They even added shooting while driving speeders. Well, I guess you could always shoot technically, but although the Futurama meme says otherwise, technically is rarely actually the best way. Now, you can aim freely, think Red Dead Redemption, but with a blaster pistol. Quite nice compared to what it started with. Two DLC expansions also add a lot more story, more endgame activities, give you an access to a ton of spaceship combat upgrades that make ship-to-ship dogfighting a lot better. And I'm not even talking about the quality of life changes, the bug fixes, the polish passes, the general improvements to the feel of the game. This was a fun but flawed Star Wars open world game when it launched. The flaws were a little bit too much for me. Gave me a bad taste in my mouth while I was playing it, but having gone back, they have improved the recipe to the point where I actually quite like it. Like, good for Ubisoft for publishing an open world game that both feels different from the usual Assassin's Creed map slop stuff and generally working to improve or expand upon a game that is dangerously close to crossing into great territory.
I can still take you down.
Now!
At number 8 is Monster Hunter Wilds, one of the most criticized games of 2025. Got a much-needed upgrade this year. PC performance was a particular criticism of Monster Hunter Wilds, as Capcom attempted to do stuff with an incredibly big and open and vast, the things that Resident Evil engine, and no, I'm not calling it Reach for the Moon engine, you just shut right up. Things that the Resident Evil engine wasn't really designed for. It's not like Resident Evil is tiny little corridor-based games, but vast open worlds it is not generally concerned with. However, things have changed drastically from release. Way more optimized in Title Update 4. That came in December, and in February they dropped another update, basically optimizing the game with a new update every month for a while there. The beefy PCs we use here were struggling to maintain solid frame rates at launch, and with a few settings tweaks, we're pretty regularly getting 100 frames per second now.
Here we go!
It's a big jump from the choppy launch, and Capcom keep adding more features like 10-star arch-tempered endgame monsters to the battle before the big Master Rank expansion, which will come later this year. A lot of Monster Hunter players don't consider these games truly finished until they've received the Master Rank or the G Rank. Sometimes the name changes. The features that come along with that as well. You have to wait a little longer for those improvements to take shape, but Monster Hunter Wilds is a game worth revisiting if you like Monster Hunter and it wasn't quite up to snuff for you. At number 7 is Kingdom Come Deliverance, one of the buggiest games we have ever played. In a surprise move, Kingdom Come 1 dropped a free next-gen update on PS5 and Xbox Series X, giving console players another reason to return to one of the most unique RPGs of the 2010s. This is especially important for anyone who attempted to play on PS4, like us, which was foolish. This game was never optimized well on any platform, but trying to play one of the buggiest games ever without fan patches on a console was an absolute fool's errand. The next-gen update doesn't just improve the visuals and performance to match ultra quality on PC, it also fixes some of the biggest lingering bugs, like the many sources of crashing that have been repaired, too many UI or translation issues to mention in one place, generally smoother gameplay everywhere. It's just a lot better. It's a game made for hardcore freaks who really want to be brutalized in the early game, but we have our limits. If you enjoy Henry's adventures in the far more polished sequel, it might be worth going back to this older game and checking it out. It might still bug out, don't get me wrong, but it's much less likely to brick your save, which we would call progress. And number 6 is Guild Wars Reforged. One of the wildest updates in recent memory is probably the Reforged update for Guild Wars. The original Guild Wars from 2005 got a major update in the last year and very recently pushed the new Reforged mode, replacing the base version of the game completely. Reforged is an overhauled, subscription-free version of Guild Wars that's built specifically for the solo experience. Reforged is rebalanced from the ground up with new introductory quests and mechanics that make solo play possible, not only possible but highly encouraged. The always online MMO has been transformed into an offline solo experience, and we would love to see more games get this same treatment. To make Guild Wars playable in its new non-MMO form, players will be able to access NPCs called heroes to help tackle tough quests or hire additional henchmen. The update also updates the graphics and makes the game easily playable on modern systems, consolidates the 3 story campaigns, there's hundreds of quality of life improvements. Genuinely, this update turns Guild Wars into a different game, and one we're a lot more interested in playing. Thankfully, it doesn't erase the old version. If you want to play with friends to tackle content balanced like the old days, there's always veteran mode. This game is still getting updates, with the most recent May update making Reforged the main way to play. It's either a great decision or an absolute travesty, depending on how nostalgic you are for Guild Wars, but for us, we're there. At number 5 is Destiny 2. Destiny 2 is dead and is in the best shape it's been in years. The live service game I think we all have a love-hate relationship with at this point is getting some desperately needed upgrades in 2026. The most important change is Bungie completely removing the awful portal menu from the game completely. The portal was a big menu introduced in the Edge of Fate expansion. It was meant to be a progression hub, showing you all the activities required for power leveling. It was a solution for onboarding new players that didn't understand how Destiny 2 worked, but instead of fixing the game, the portal absolutely destroyed player interest, broke the magic spell of immersion, and turned Destiny 2 into a rote list of boring chores. Getting rid of it isn't the biggest change coming to Destiny 2. The real improvements are in the Moment of Triumph update. The final major update enhances almost every aspect of the game and fixes issues we've been complaining about for years. PvE, for instance, is being overhauled with special ammo pickups being doubled, your weapons deal more damage, and more and easier ways to get the rarest best loot in the game without any of the FOMO grinding nonsense.
Told not to engage. The Praxic Order skirts the rules to enforce them for the Vanguard. I'm trying to keep this crew safe.
We can have a nice grindy game without the live service forever game crap, and Destiny 2 is slowly showing its whole ass. The live service aspect of Destiny 2 is what made it, at a fundamental level, interesting, but it's also what ruined what could have been a good game. By dying and dropping the full court press of microtransactions and seasonal content, we might just have a fun Bungie shooter now. And number 4 is Age of Mythology Retold. Against all odds, Age of Mythology is still getting updates in 2026. Xbox Game Studio is uncommonly kind to the Age of Empires and Age of Mythology franchises, supporting these games and their developers. Despite a crucial detail, these games aren't really that big, and neither is their genre for that matter. Still, these games themselves have really dedicated communities that are actually relatively large, and they buy up every new piece of DLC. Age of Mythology is an especially abused game, dropping a truly terrible Chinese Pantheon expansion back in 2016. The Chinese Pantheon frankly sucked out loud. It was a cheaply produced, trashy, money-grubbing expansion for a beloved but underselling franchise, and was a sad way for the series to die. Until Age of Mythology Retold surprised us all in 2024. The game has been constantly expanding since then, dropping full single-player campaigns and entire pantheons for China, Japan, and most recently the Aztecs. The Chinese Pantheon update totally overhauled the faction, replacing it with a much higher quality one. Is this one of the only instances where developers completely replaced an old expansion for a game? I don't really know. If you can think of any other examples, we're coming up blank, so hit the comments if you got one. Age of Mythology feels new in 2026. The Aztec faction is one of the best in the game, adding a totally fresh flavor to an extremely high-quality set of levels to play. It's a game that has only gotten better since release, and it was already one of our favorite RTS games. It was basically forgotten back in the day. Now it's thriving like never before, and you love to see it. And number 3 is Lords of the Fallen. It's not going to win any awards for Best Souls-like in 2026, but man, is it working on that Most Improved trophy. This game's still getting updates, and the most recent 2.5 update added a lot to the game, including a completely revamped and updated final boss for the main route through the story. All the bosses and boss AI also updated and enhanced, while also easing up on the annoying difficulty with a better spread of possible attacks and better boss weapons with new animations to make these uniques feel a lot more special. In general, this ambitious Souls-like got a lot of major improvements since release, polishing the game up, making encounters that feel very solid. The sometimes mushy combat feels a lot tighter. The improvements to camera, lock-on, and general performance push this game out of the 7 out of 10 range. No, Lords of the Fallen is not a perfect 7, the term we came up for on the Falcon show to describe 7 out of 10s that we like better than 9 out of 10s or even 10 out of 10s a lot of the time. But with all the lessons here that they have learned, perhaps Lords of the Fallen 2 has a shot. At number 2, it's Look Outside 2.0. This is one of our favorite underground indie games. The original release was something special, easily, but the 2.0 update is the real deal. This is the game we were meant to get. 1.0 might have been out of early access technically, but again, what did I say about technically earlier? Not usually the best thing despite the meme. The meme is sarcastic, as you may or may not know. The 2.0 update is what we wanted from the start, though. 2.0 adds multiple new insane endings, including a Symphony in the Night style alternate apartment building to explore, new characters to recruit in a living vending machine that sells you soda pop, new apartments, like an apartment that's been flooded, just a lot of really cool stuff. Mechanics have been completely revamped, bosses totally changed, new music tracks to make each character encounter feel more special. Old areas like the war zone have more enemies and treasures to collect. Sewers have been updated with new creatures and more complicated objectives. Even the old content has been revamped. Like one apartment changed drastically if you don't deal with the teeth problem early. The game is now packed with Easter eggs, which is exactly the sort of stuff we want to see, like an ending revolving entirely around crossword puzzles or the ability to recruit the terrifying smiling monster you encounter at the start. The original release had big late game problems in that there really wasn't enough to do. Now there's almost too much. We highly recommend visiting your neighbors and getting over your main character's fear of clowns, to say the least. Look Outside 2.0 is now the right time to play a deranged horror masterpiece. If you haven't, so do. And finally, at number 1, it is Atomic Heart. This is a game we wanted to love on release. It's a gonzo shooter with a Soviet utopian theme, and it's one of the weirdest games ever made. There's scenes of surreal beauty mixed with the main character that loves to repeat his signature catchphrase, crispy critters, over and over again. It's like BioShock on Cossack shrooms.
Isn't there supposed to be a radio in here?
The entire Soviet Union is ecstatic about the unveiling of Collective 2.0
Yeah, I
with
just came from
parades
one
in
of them. I
every
get it.
city.
It's both deeply serious and absurdly silly, and man has it improved since launch. The final DLC for Atomic Heart released in April 2026. The Blood on Crystal expansion includes the actual ending of the game, completing the story and closing the bizarre story teaser at the end of the main game, and it's just one of 4 huge expansions that have been released. Each expansion improved and refined what makes the game work, gives you new regions to explore, completely wild new enemies that fulfill insane promises this game made upon release, and it also just plays a whole lot better with years of patches and subtle gameplay updates that made Atomic Heart feel much closer to what we wanted years ago.
The alarm. Wait, I got it.
Also, one of the expansions is set in an underwater city, so all these BioShock comparisons are quite accurate now, let's say. That's all I've got for you today. 10 games that have improved or are improving in 2026. There's always more games that are getting more updates, so let us know in the comments which ones you thought improved the most this year. It's still early. There's still time to see what else gets way better. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription, so click subscribe. Don't forget to enable notifications, and as always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. Join the 1% Club to get the Falcon Show every weekend. We'll see you next time right here on Game Ranks.